totally worn this shirt and necklace combo in a video already before, but I feel like it's okay because I own a washing machine and I like this shirt, so we're gonna go with it. Hi guys, my name is Lacey of Spooky Lips and Fat Hips, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you see me looking down a lot, it's because the lighting over here is doing some kind of spoopy nonsense, and I wish it would stop. Today, I am doing kind of a follow-up video on my single eyeshadows debacle. If you didn't see the part 1 to this, I will put it someplace over here. Basically in that video, I was telling you guys about how I had tried to dupe the Jeffree Star Blood Sugar palette with single eyeshadows, and it was a disaster, and I ended up using some Buxom shadows, and it kind of wasn't the same, and asking you guys what your tips were for getting into single eyeshadows, and you guys told me a lot of things. I'm going to be sharing some of those things with you guys because I did learn a lot, and also I made a new palette. I took the advice that you guys gave me, and I tried it again, and this time I'm really happy with what I came up with, and I'm going to be talking to you guys about it. So overall, the number one thing that you guys said to do was not try to dupe an entire palette with eyeshadows, with single eyeshadows rather. Pretty much across the board, you guys were like, yeah, don't do that. Basically, the number one advice that I got from you guys was pick what is special about a particular palette and get those colors, which just makes sense. Also, you guys said buying single eyeshadows at once is just expensive no matter what, so look for bundles, look for coupons, look for deals. Some of you guys are much more hardcore than I'll ever be. You guys were saying that some of you guys were saying that you had depotted all of your previous existing eyeshadows and palettes and categorized them and cataloged, and you know specifically exactly what colors you have, so you only ever buy the unique shades that you don't have. And I give you guys so much credit. I highly commend that because I could never bring myself to depot my eyeshadows. My palettes are my babies. Oh my goodness. I can definitely see if you're someone who's no nonsense, I'm not buying anything I don't need, how that tactic, that way of going about single eyeshadows is perfect. I just can't. For me, it's not realistic. I've said it a couple times. My eyeshadow palette collection is fucking ridiculous, and I'm not depotting it anytime soon. It's just not realistic for me. I think if I was just starting out in makeup and navigating what was best for me, I could see myself going that route of just collecting very unique single eyeshadows and building a collection up that way. But I'm just too far down the rabbit hole now to do anything differently. I do still want to play around with single eyeshadows though, especially with indie brands. You guys recommended a lot of brands to me, especially with in the cases of bundles of really interesting unique colors that I don't feel like I have anyplace else. Those are the places where I'm going to think, personally, I'm going to stick to buying single eyeshadows if I do again in the future, which I think I will. And also, I like the idea of, I've been really inspired by Georgia Harris here on YouTube, who I reference a lot, but she does these amazing palettes with color stories that she creates herself, inspired by certain things. She did her own Beauty and the Beast palette because all other Beauty and the Beast palettes that had been released had been disappointing, and Georgia's was absolutely amazing, and it's just oof. So she's definitely been my inspiration. I'm hoping in the future to maybe do a Halloween themed palette. But yeah, just wrapping up the tips you guys gave me was don't go for every color all at once. Save money when you can. Pick out the most interesting colors. Be aware of what you already have in your collection. And I feel like those are all great tips, and that's why I'm sharing them with you guys, because I think it definitely helped me, and it's going to help anybody else who's single eyeshadows are very overwhelming and I don't know what to do with them. Like I said, you guys also recommended brands to me, and overwhelmingly, the number one brand that was recommended for their single eyeshadows was Devinah Cosmetics. And that is where I get into the fun part of this video. So Natasha Denona is a very expensive luxury brand. As we all know, it gets a lot of hype here on YouTube. I recently just got my hands on some Natasha Denona eyeshadows that I'm going to be playing with and maybe reviewing for you guys, doing an is it worth it kind of video. But she just came out with the Tropical palette. Please hold. Do you always have an Instagram message? the Tropic palette, which I will insert a picture here for a longer time span than what I've normally inserted pictures for. I hear you guys. That palette to me initially was very interesting, and then it hit me why it was interesting, and it's that, I'm so sorry, my chair keeps creaking. Why that palette is interesting to me is very specifically that bottom row of those greens and those purples and those blues. And I've heard a lot of other creators talk about how that's the best part, that they wish that Natasha Denona had just released like a little mini palette of just that row. And I've also heard very mixed reviews on that palette in general. Normally people say that Natasha Denona shadows are like unclockable and that they live up to all the hype, and that palette has gotten so many mixed reviews and like had controversy on whether or not she had changed the weight, and she had apparently changed the ingredients. And I actually just went into a Sephora and swatched it. I don't know if I could tell by swatches if it was any different than the palette that I have, which is a Lila palette. But either way, people weren't happy with it, and the only thing exciting about it was that bottom row. So this is where I am now. I did my version of duping specifically just that bottom row using Devinah single eyeshadows. This is a close-up of the palette that I came out with. I feel like it's hard to tell. So I focused on the green, the blue, and the purple. And I picked a matte and a shimmer in all three of those colors. But I also threw in grays and silvers. Because if you look in the original Natasha Denona palette, she has what looks like a silver, but it's actually a very like light mossy green. I just got like a mossy green color in a Buxom eyeshadow, so I don't know. This was my ideal perfect version of it, and I've been having a lot of fun playing with this. Also, for the record, this palette is like a Tarte Z palette that Georgia actually sent me. Georgia was a sweetheart and sent me a bunch of single eyeshadows after my first single eyeshadow video, and there was more eyeshadows that can fit in the palette that she sent them in, so I moved those shadows into a different palette and then repurposed the palette she gave me to put my Devinah shadows in, and it's just so cute and perfect, and I love it. Thank you, Georgia. But yeah, this is my ideal dupe, and I feel like I did a really good job. I'm wearing all of the eyeshadows today. I will show you what it looks like without my glasses in a second when I talk about the eyeshadows themselves. But realistically, like, I feel like the looks that I've been coming up with these shadows are the looks that I would have used, like the looks I would have gotten out of that specific palette. And also, like you guys mentioned, because I already have a lot of warm tone shadows, I could mix these with those palettes and get literally the exact dupe of the Natasha Denona palette. So much better experience just all around doing this. Also, I don't know, I think it was a first time sign up coupon. I got 35% off. So even price wise, this was like a lot better. Like everything about this was better. I'm going to swatch the shadows real quick. I'm not going to name every individual shadow, but I will list down in the description box which shadows I bought. Also, I apologize if you're somebody who likes their makeup to be like a gradient. I'm not. I like having them in like this order because it looks more like if I were to have bought this palette. That's just me personally. Also, I just want to emphasize real quick, I swatch my eyeshadows the same in every video, no matter what brand it is, no matter what the product is, whatever. I only swatch shadows to give an idea of the color story because I can talk to you about the performance. I think swatching shadows with your fingers is a very shitty way to determine the performance of an eyeshadow. So just, I know most of you guys realize that, just like keep that in mind. I know people like Stephanie Nicole goes very like detailed with her shadows and does it over an eyeshadow base with a brush and a finger and compares them. That I'm just here to show you the colors, really. So these are all of the swatches. I'm sorry that they're kind of on an angle. In no particular order, like I said, I will list every shadow that I bought down below. You guys weren't fucking around when you recommended Devinah. Like, holy shit. I think I posted on Instagram, like, how dare you make shadows this good? Because these are so ridiculously pigmented. Oh my god. Like, these shadows are not exaggerated. This is one swipe. That is so much pigment. Holy shitsies. These shadows are actually so pigmented that they're almost kind of tricky to work with. I'm glad that I don't do first impressions on this channel. because my first impression was like, holy shit, I love these. And I definitely love the pigmentation. But like I said, I feel like I'm going to reach for them less often only because I do find them tricky to work with, and not to sound like I'm some kind of makeup god, but I normally don't have trouble doing eyeshadow, but these kind of give me a little bit of trouble, and it's happened every single time that I've used them. The trend that I've noticed with these is that they're so pigmented that they almost don't play well together. Like, you'll try to blend two colors together and neither color will budge, one will just sit on top of the other. But I do feel like playing around with like what brushes I use definitely makes a difference. I also think these are shadows that I might like better if I don't set my eye base with powder and I just let it be a little sticky. I might play around with it more and let you guys know in my next month's favorites video. Also, the shimmers are not my favorite shimmers that I've ever used in my life. They're very dry, and even with a glitter glue, I do get some patchiness, which is not normal, but you just have to build it up a little bit more. Other than that, I don't find them creasing on me or anything like that. But I'll show you the eye look that I did today. Keep in mind, I did this very early this morning, and I had to touch up my makeup for this video. I do feel like I got like patchiness and streakiness, which is, I don't know, just kind of, I don't know, just, it could have been me, it could have been the base that I chose to use, like I said, but it's happened to me almost every time I use these shadows, so I don't know. I feel like the jury's still out, specifically with Devinah Cosmetics for me. I like them, but I don't know if I love them. I don't know. But I do love the pigmentation. I don't know if I love, like, okay, being totally honest, these are eyeshadows I feel like I have to work with so much more than I have to with other eyeshadows, and I feel like, yeah, that's the difference. I feel like there are other eyeshadows in my collection that are just very simple to work with, and I can get to this level of pigmentation without thinking about it too much. I kind of have to work to get these to the place I want. I don't know. I'm actually kind of surprised that I've had that experience given how much, like, how highly you guys spoke about them. So if you guys have application tips, like if you think these work better with, like, let's say a stickier base or with synthetic versus natural hair brushes or anything like that, let me know, because I'm open to it, because I like these shadows so much that I want to work with them. But other than that, yeah, this has been a much more fun and a much more successful duping experience overall. Just to give you guys one more look. Sorry if I'm blinding you with the ring light, but I think these are quite cool, and I think that I did a good job making my ideal bottom row of the Natasha Denona palette. Oh, and also, I went out to lunch today with my friends, and there was, like, the girl ringing me up at the register, placing my order, and then another girl was walking behind her, and, like, stopped mid-walk and looked at me and was like, oh my god, I love your makeup, and I was wearing these shadows. So, that made my day, and I feel like that's happened, like, every time I've worn these shadows, is somebody compliments the colors, because they're so striking and so beautiful. I'm open to placing another order. They're interesting to me. Like I said, just need to play with them because I feel like they're tricky, but now I'm just heavily repeating myself. And that's everything I got. Like I said, this was a much better experience, and thank you guys for your single eyeshadow suggestions, because it definitely made the difference overall. I asked in my last video about this subject, but I'll ask again, what are your favorite single eyeshadows to use? Definitely let me know. Thank you guys for watching my video. Subscribe, like, all of that good stuff. I'm going to be filming more videos tonight, and lots of long ones, I think, so get ready. I hope you guys are having a good holiday weekend if you celebrate, and yeah, I will see you guys in my next video. Bye, guys!